Sit down inside the car. We're not assuring anything. We're under arrest.
Look, I'm under what?
Come on.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
Get some cups.
Why did you do this to me?
Hop in the car. Get some cups.
For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock, sir. Oh, yes. I see that you know your judo well. Good one. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis? How dare get your hands off me.
G'day everybody, welcome to the happy hour and g'day to my old mate 43 OG. How you going there, buddy?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Dozza?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Fine Friday afternoon in Australia.
That's it. Just going to crack this beer, as you do.
I'm
Cheers
drinking
to everybody out
H2O.
there.
I'm drinking H2O. I'm not sure if you saw the headlines in the last week in Australia about water causing cancer. Did you see that stuff?
What? No, I didn't.
Like
that's crazy.
There's all these headlines that there were places in Australia where the water's been contaminated with cancer causing
carcinogens. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's always the dosage. Like even just water itself can kill you if you drink enough of it. But so it's always about the dosage, you know, whatever the impurities and stuff that are in there. But yeah, maybe can you filter that shit out, or is it just? Well, I don't even know what happened.
We use filters. We have those charcoal filter things.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how good they are, but I've noticed that in the last year or two that our water's smelling a lot more like chlorine than it used to. So because of that, we just started filtering our water and
yeah.
You know, it's funny. Like when I lived in Europe for a while, they're in the habit of drinking, like they don't drink their tap water. They're in the habit of drinking bottled water. However, the water is bottled in plastic, which is, it's questionable. It's like, how long has this water been sitting in the sun for? Like, you know, so it's questionable whether that's any good or not.
BPAs and all that stuff. It kind of sucks. I like, stainless steel things. If you can, it's like when if you take your lunch to work or whatever, if you can have like a stainless steel container, I just kind of feel like that's just less likely to get all these microplastics.
Are they trying to poison us on purpose, man? Like what's going on?
Nah, I never attribute malice to things. Never attribute malice to things that can be explained by incompetence. So I think a lot of times that people are just going for the cheapest option because they're trying to, maximize profit, and they just don't realize the ramifications of.
So they threw Cobra Tate in jail because of incompetence.
Cobra Tate? Tate, yeah. Look, I don't know the story with Tate. I'm not going to go into bat for Tate because he, apart from being the epitome of Dunning-Kruger, just the way he's lately come out, he's released all these shit coins on Solana, and then he's sort of just claiming that he owns crypto and that he's like the king of crypto sort of thing. It's like, what? Bro, you've only been around for like 2 minutes. But I don't really know enough about what he was doing with those Romanian, like, wasn't there a whole bunch of women that were, I don't know, man. I don't know enough about it to like go into bat for him and be like, he's getting stitched by the system and the matrix. It's like, maybe he was exploiting women. I don't know. And if he is, he's a dirtbag. But if he wasn't, then, so like I said, I don't know.
If you think about it, if he wasn't, right. So yeah, if he was, then yeah, he's a dirtbag, of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
If he wasn't, dude spent months in jail, and his brother spent months in jail as well.
That's true.
If he didn't, just think about that as well. And it's like,
I guess that's the thing was maybe we should maybe honor this whole innocent till proven guilty thing. For some reason, the presumption of innocence has gone out the window with a lot of these things. So if he was found guilty, then he should be in jail. But until then, you can't just lock someone up without charge. Or at least
clearly you can. Clearly, locking people up without charge is what is the status quo nowadays. If you are in the way of what, so look, I can name numerous people who get locked up without charge. Like Roger Ver got locked up without charge a few weeks ago. Like I think he's out now on bail, but he got locked up without charge.
I know that's crazy. Look, I resist that because growing up,
Julian
I was
Assange.
Always under the. Yeah, Julian Assange is the biggest example.
Tornado Cash devs. But
I guess the thing is it's got to work both ways. So, I mean, I'm not a fan of Guantanamo Bay and all that shit either, because it's like you either charge these people or you don't. You can't just lock people up indefinitely without charging them and just say, oh, no, it's a military court or whatever. I mean, if they're terrorists, lock them up. But that Guantanamo Bay thing, I don't know. It's the same. It's both ways.
About civilians here. We're talking about civilians. I think Guantanamo. Look, I'm not going to defend Guantanamo Bay. I don't know anything about. I don't know enough about it. I'm not going to defend it. Let's just stick to civilians getting locked up in a cage without due process. Like, how about that?
I'm basically against anyone getting locked up without due process. I think you just charge the people. If there's enough evidence, you charge them, and then you put them in jail. Like, you get 24 hours. That's how I grew up.
Due process.
You could hold someone for 24 hours without charge, and then you have to let them go.
You grew up being held for 24 hours.
That's what I was told. That was what I was told was the law, like the justice way of doing things, that you can only hold someone for 24 hours without charging them. And then at that point, you either have enough evidence to charge them or you don't. Like, you can't just hold someone indefinitely.
Anyway. Clearly the system that seems to be in place around the world is sort of skirting these basic tenets of what's like just fairness, because there's rules for some people and then there's rules for other people, So
yeah,
I was going to say, how about the rules for people that have clearly done things that on the surface don't seem right. So, for example, you've got that laptop in the US. What's up, True Blue?
Yo,
you've got that laptop. You've got that Hunter Biden laptop, right? And I know nothing about it, but I've seen an image, right, that's out there of this guy, like with a woman that seems clearly like she looks very much underage to me, right? So what's going on? So what's going on with that? Maybe she's not underage, but like what's going on with that?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean, definitely there's cocaine and stuff. There's a lot of videos. I mean, that's the other thing as well. You don't know for sure, but it seemed like.
So is it a stroll in the park, or are there ways like can judges who know people and had associations with people who will sort of bend the rules in a way?
Are you suggesting that the system is somewhat corrupt? I don't know about that, bro.
I think that is the way humans operate. I think that is the way humans operate. Just the way we are, the way we've been, the way we've evolved. I think that is the way things are, and that's exactly why I think that replacing some of these people with automated systems is probably a good move. Case in point, these central banks that seem to
say the same thing.
Yeah, central banks who seem to like just love inflating the money supply, and who's making those decisions? A bunch of people, bunch of people who won't
Unelected people. Unelected people.
unelected people.
I'm on your
So-
side, man. I reckon we need to end the Fed. I think that is and I was going to talk about that later because there's some bills being put into Congress, I think, or I'll have to pull it up, but someone has actually suggested, in Parliament in the US that they need to end the Federal Reserve, and I think I'm for it. Like, I really don't see how these guys who are sort of unelected can control the interest rates and can control the money supply, effectively just printing it out of thin air, and everyone is sort of held ransom to it. Like, even governments are held ransom
everyone has had their savings devalued as that happens.
Diluted.
But something big that's happened in the last week, which didn't really get much mainstream coverage, is the US had an agreement with Saudi Arabia for the last 50 years for Saudi Arabia to only sell their oil denominated in US dollars.
Yes.
That is to that's a huge benefit to the US. Was a huge benefit to the US. So that's just ended. So it's mind you, Saudi Arabia are one of the BRICS country. Are they one of the big BRICS? I think they joined or going to,
because normally Saudi Arabia are sort of have got alliances with the US, but I don't know.
They did, for the last 50 years. But that's sort of that alliance.
Wow, so they're part of BRICS. Oh.
Well, I thought they were.
That's
like,
crazy.
I should ask AI. Is Saudi Arabia part of the BRICS nations?
True Blue. I just wanted to say hello to True Blue there because
Hey.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, pretty
Hey,
good. Mate. What have you been up to?
You're already hitting it pretty hard, I see, or here.
Yeah. We're just straight
good.
in there. We're in the Federal Reserve, blowing up
No,
currencies. We're just like, we don't need this currency or that currency.
What you guys are saying is exactly right, though. It's like it is the way just people work now, or always work, really. With you try and get the most out of anything you're able to do, or you have, or the opportunities you have. That's what most people do. And then with power and greed comes, just people taking it too far, or and that can be used for good or bad. So, you're saying 43 was saying about how people that aren't even elected, or was it you, Dozo, about people that aren't even elected can make these decisions about just printing money and stuff. Well, I don't know. It's like, if they can, they will. That's how I see it. If the opportunity's there, these people just run with it. So it's crazy. If only everyone would just use it for good, because they're using it for greed.
So Saudi Arabia is not a part of the BRICS group, but however they have expressed, and this is what I must be remembering, they've expressed interest in joining the BRICS group.
Okay. Look, it's pretty full on. There's been a lot of things happening. I just wanted to quickly bring up some funny stuff. So this guy tattooed Solana on his head.
Is that real?
I'm not sure if it's real or not, but this is a crypto banter. Just said this, that time to sell your Solana meme coins, just so everyone's looking for top signals.
Yeah.
This guy literally, Lil Pump, just tattooed Solana on his forehead. Then
I bet he's got a little pump, judging by his get up.
That's right. Far out, eh? Anyway, just thought I'd quickly mention that.
Do you think that's real? Is it possible that
Surely
that's actually real?
It's maybe not, but I just wanted to say crypto banter for the algo. Actually,
that's something that really sucks these days. You never know if it's real or not. Like,
you
just don't know. You have to second guess everything. We were just catching up on some of the recent soccer matches lately, me and my son, and my eldest daughter comes in and she's sitting down for 15 minutes watching, and then she goes, "Hang on, is this real?" And like, she was wondering she was wondering if we were playing FIFA or if if she was watching a real game. And it's like, of course, I was like, "What are you talking about? Of course it's real." But that's the age we're in. Everything looks real.
This is that quote. I think it's Arthur C. Clarke, or it might have been someone else, but it's the sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So once you get the technology really good, you're just looking at it going, "Is this real? Like, what am I watching here?" But if it's sufficiently advanced, it's indistinguishable from magic.
Sucks. You have to question everything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's sort of what I was questioning earlier today. I don't know how it came about, but I was listening to something and it went on to another. I was listening to something on YouTube, and then it skipped to the following thing, and it was some guy talking about like weapons or something that they've got. Apparently, there are weapons in the Antarctic. Apparently, there's some sort of energy weapon. Like, and I'm listening to this. I'm like, I don't know, dude. What's going on? Like, this stuff.
Oh, there's so much stuff in
dangerous.
Antarctica, bro. Though there's so much stuff in Antarctica. Apparently, it's like, come on, guys. I knew a guy who worked in Antarctica, like a good mate of mine. He worked there for like 6 months.
But he hasn't scoped out all of it. No, hang on. No one scoped out all Antarctica. I don't know how you could.
No,
so
they fly around on helicopters and shit. Like, they're not.
This guy was saying that the Christchurch earthquake was caused by this huge, like, directed energy weapon. That's what he said.
So extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You cannot just make extraordinary claims and then just be like, trust me, bro. You need to have I mean, I've seen some of the things. There was a guy who worked in one of those places in Antarctica, and he was walking around some science lab, and I think he was like a maintenance guy, and he was like, what is this? Like, oh my God, this is like some sort of weapon. And what is it? And it's like, they do neutrino experiments. They do a whole bunch of experiments down there. Like, just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean it's a weapon. Like, maybe ask someone and they might try and explain it to you. But there is some a lot of science stuff that goes on down there.
Yeah.
Speaking of debunking things,
I could go into that for a long time.
And I would love to listen to it, because you are actually someone who may know a thing or two about that.
A little bit about some of that stuff. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I was listening to a clip from Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was debunking the Terrence Howard stuff that was on Joe Rogan a few weeks ago. And it was good to listen to him, because I, as someone who has seen the scientific method and what's entailed in that.
Yes.
I do appreciate, that. And if that's not being used, then I have to question, I question things even more rigorously because of that. So, and he went at it. He actually just explained what had happened over the years. And this was something that happened 8 years ago. He had actually written a response to a lot of these things 8 years ago. And he went through some of them and just explained it all. And he just basically debunked it at the very start. He just said, once again, it's like these extraordinary claim, situations where they're require extraordinary evidence. And things need to be peer reviewed, and all of that. So peer review is important.
Yeah, I mean, Jexa and I were talking about this last week, and one of the things is like,
subjects.
How are you guys?
If you're going to make claims and things like that, part of that scientific method that you're talking about is just that it has to be repeatable and measurable. So there is a burden of proof on people to be able to say that any lab around the world should be able to reproduce these results in a measurable, quantifiable way. And then it's like science. That's the beauty of science, is that it doesn't have like an anchor bias where it kind of goes, this is what we've always thought and we're going to reject everything else. It actually takes on any kind of new science that comes in. It's willing to adopt it if it's provable. And that's why science is advanced. It's not like a religion where people have kind of gone, this is a dogmatic way of like thinking and I refuse to accept other ways. They're like, if you can prove it, then we'll bring it in. And that's why there's that whole joke about, what is the difference between, is it alternative medicine and medicine? And it's like, because once it becomes provable, it just becomes medicine. Like there is no, like once it's proven, it's just medicine.
I'll push back on that a little bit. So, because I get where you come from. You're obviously come through university and you've got a belief in that process. I would argue that process is corrupt, and if there is stuff that sits outside of mainstream and it's not given the tick of approval by whoever is associated with getting these things into journals and things like that, that system is heavily corrupted.
That's an interesting, like I've actually heard, I think it was either Brett or Eric Weinstein talk about this exact point about, the peer review process can also be corrupt.
Yeah, and there's corruption in everything. So why would there be any different that process isn't corrupt? No, I'm not saying that that there isn't some corruption in that. And obviously the way that some of these things work, like if you look at the FDA and stuff like that, or
TGA in Australia,
bodies, TGA, like they're
entirely funded by Big Pharma, entirely funded by Big Pharma.
Yeah,
right?
so I gotta be careful.
And draw your own conclusions about it.
And it's not even just the Big Pharma thing. It's not restricted to Big Pharma. If your narrative sits outside of, let's say, there's companies that are funding
battery
studies and things like that. Yeah, so they're funding studies, and if you come up with something that is counter their interests,
yes,
you're not going to get funding at a university. So then they have to toe the line to get funding for various things.
Yeah,
so
that's the problem.
Very, very corrupted. Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying, like in the sense that, say there's some new battery tech that comes on board, and it's a super high capacity, and it's like a real efficient way of storing energy, and then Shell comes along and buys the patent for it, and then they shelve it because it's not in their interest, because they want to sell oil. So like I'm sure that type of stuff does exist as well. But
definitely,
you'd hope that in this day and age that if that science, if that battery tech or whatever can get out there, someone else can produce it, and then
that's going to send us down a whole rabbit hole where I think there is clear examples where people have pushed forward on some of that tech, and they've been either silenced or they're taken into black programs, so their tech is taken off the market,
mysteriously
happen to have a car accident.
There's that story about
that's true as well.
The car powered by water. Like there's that.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard that one, right?
Yeah. So there is a clear case of people that have gone missing that have been working on advanced tech.
Yeah, that's true. Look, there's definitely some corruption and some stuff that's going on behind the scenes. That's for sure. But it doesn't
extremely
mean
optimistic.
Oh, you're optimistic? Oh, please tell me.
I'm extremely optimistic about like the future with all this sort of stuff, simply because now we all have things like AI at our fingertips. And this is going to allow me to segue very nicely into what I want to just quickly talk about. But we've all got AI at our fingertips. AI is like, I think it is pretty good what's there now. I think it's really, really, really good. Like you can just put together, documentation for a new company. You can put it together in a couple of hours. Like just, you really can do a whole lot of things, all sorts of things that would normally cost you a lot of money if you were going to outsource it, or just take a lot of time if you're going to do it by yourself and write it out by yourself. Now you can just do all these things in a matter of minutes, if not hours. Venice AI. I talked about this briefly, and I think that we should all be very aware of, all the proprietary AIs that are out there. They're great. They're fantastic. The issue is, and the thing that I'm concerned about is if that's all that's growing out there, and people are only using that, then we're going to have another system like we have with the Apple and the Google in future. We're just going to have these two behemoths who own the entire market. And I think that's problematic. And I think something like Venice AI, which uses open source models and is, it's free, by the way, and also protects your privacy in that they don't like log your data or anything like that. They don't keep records of what you're putting into the system and what you're getting out of the system, all of that is held locally on your PC or whatever you're using, or your device. And I just think that is a great way for us to go. Like, start off on the correct footing, because the issue with like using the Googles and the Apples is that we all got into it so early that we didn't know any better, did we? We just, here's everything. You know, people started using, Google Photos to back up to the cloud, all this sort of stuff. If you want to get out of that, there's a bit of a processing. If you want to keep all your photos and like download all your photos and then store them like in your own cloud locally or whatever, that's a bit of a process. And most people don't have the technical skills to do that or the knowledge to even attempt such a task. So they're stuck in what they are stuck in. But if you get off on the right foot with AI using something that isn't logging your data, isn't going to be like it's not going to be sold. Like, this information is not going to be used to monetize you and, just what you've been thinking about or what you've been wanting to learn about. I think that's a positive, because why should that be monetized? Why should any of that be monetized or used by, governments to,
I think we're already way too far down that path of the centralization of the AI. And so literally the other day, updated WhatsApp. So you have to get a update on WhatsApp. It forces you at some point to update. So bang, press the update instantly, new little icon there. Okay, now AI is integrated to all the chats and everything. I'm like, holy shit. So Meta now, and they've got an Ask Meta thing within WhatsApp. So now all of that shit and all that metadata that's related to that is now integrated to their AI platform. We've just seen Apple get into bed with OpenAI.
Yeah,
it can't be good. And I think, and Microsoft's got a big stake in OpenAI as well, don't they? I thought they brought the lion's share.
They've got Copilot.
Yeah, but I thought they actually brought. I thought they had a big share in OpenAI.
I think you're right. I remember that time when Sam Altman sort of got fired and then got rehired, and there was a whole thing with Microsoft about that. And I was like, Microsoft?
Yeah. So that shit is fully integrated already now. And this post here, if this doesn't concern you, I don't know what should. So ex-NSA, if you click on the actual post from OpenAI below and then read some of the comments, they've got, I think they talk about his position in, NSA director.
So it's an ex-NSA director, and that's joined OpenAI. So what you're sort of implying is that maybe that they might be able to put some back-end hooks or something in there. That
maybe I reckon that's already done.
Well, I'm trying to choose my language.
Let's be clear. I think if that's why as soon as I seen this today is like, no, I'm just not going to support OpenAI at all now. I can't.
Interesting.
So that's why I've sort of leaned into the Venice AI model of doing it, because it's all it's done in a way that sort of there's a layer of abstraction between you, the user, and the actual machine part of it, the LLM part of it.
Sure. I think I should probably quickly say hello to the chat, because I unfortunately neglected them. Sorry everybody here, but Red Squirrel, oi, Crypto Class, Quinny Gin, how you going, mates? We've got, they're the best arrest ever. Yeah, that's that Democracy Manifest guy at the start. That guy turned out he was just an actor. Like he was like arrested for because he looked like someone else, or he was just happened to be eating a succulent Chinese meal at the time. G'day, Clintrons.
Hilarious,
how you going? That was so funny.
Are you waiting to receive my limp penis?
Just the way he does that is so good. Yaveen, how you going? Good to see you. Jay Everything, what's up? Check out Jay Everything's tracks on YouTube for sure. just actually, I might bring that up later, but that TYRH song was done by J Everything, but that token, TYRH, I saw that rug pretty hard last night. I was like, what is going on with this? Like, not rug, but like it dumped like 80% or something. I was like, damn. I was just like looking at the charts. Remember back when Ranford Banner was going to name his kid Luna? Oh, what? Jeez, that would be Orkies.
Didn't someone get a Luna? Didn't someone get a Luna tattoo?
Yeah, Mike Nova.
No doubt. Clintrons, I will step up to this debate.
Triggered.
I'm triggered hard that science is a religion. No, I will debate that. And I think I mentioned earlier that is
real
the fundamental
science
difference between
real science.
Science and a religion is that real science will actually adopt new frames of thought and change, like new. So, for example, like relativistic gravity, for example, there was Newtonian gravity, and it was found that it works for most instances, like the inverse square rule of gravitational fields. And then in terms of large scales, looking like predicting orbits, with high degrees of accuracy, it had to take on relativistic compensations. So then we sort of go, oh, well, Newtonian gravity, that's great, but we have to put in these compensations now because we understand it, about relativity. And if there's something that comes along that is more accurate than relativity, they will happily adopt it. And that's no joke, because that's how scientists actually...
happily.
They'd be dragged and screaming.
Dude, bro. Sometimes a whole generation of scientists have to die before it comes in. Let's just be honest about how it works sometimes.
Well,
sometimes
so
people
you
are
might be
so
following the wrong
entrenched
scientists.
but sometimes people are so entrenched in what they've believed their whole lives that they just can't bring themselves to change, and then they have to fallacy. New generation are just like, this is obviously what it is now. It's obviously changed.
Well, that's not really what the scientific method is about. That's just someone has
I know,
bias,
that's how but this is how it sort of anecdotally, I've seen it play out like this. I've seen things play out.
Oh, yeah.
Like
There's shit scientists out there that claim that they're good scientists. I don't even think Neil deGrasse Tyson is a great scientist, to be honest.
I reckon he's shit. I reckon you shouldn't be listening to him or quoting him or...
I never quoted him. I never quoted Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's some shit scientists. I'm talking about like Feynman, Maxwell, Faraday, old school, like, Planck, Heisenberg, proper scientists, not like, science influencers or science educators that don't actually have like physics doctorates. Come on.
He's got the gift of the gab though. He's very entertaining to listen to. If you've ever listened to some
I'm triggering people with that call. Bring it, step it up. Let's have a science versus religion space.
Hang on. I just want to explain to people in the chat that Dozer is a legit mad scientist. And when I say mad, I mean in terms of he actually builds shit that would boggle your mind. So just think twice before you throw shade on the gentleman who's hosting this program.
That's it. I am a physicist, so I'm not just I'm talking out of my ass. But anyway, doesn't matter. This show's meant to be about crypto anyway, not about science. But yeah, I like the enthusiasm, and I'm happy to concede, where I'm wrong or where I may have overstepped as well. So I appreciate that. If people pull me up and say maybe I shouldn't use ultimatums or kind of like generalizing, maybe I should be a little bit circumspect because these things that don't apply to every circumstance, of course.
I think you're right in your belief that the scientific process should be valid, but whether or not the humans that are supposed to use it are applying it properly,
exactly, great point. Yeah, it's like there's a noble pursuit of the scientific method, and then you have fallible humans which execute it poorly.
Yes.
Okay, so
that's
yeah. I mean that comes into things like with politics as well. You get people that really believe in democracy or whatever, and then they get into the system, and then they're limited by what they can do, and And the whole thing just
I think
shift.
a good classic example of that was love him or hate him, or I don't care what side you sit on, but when Peter Garrett got involved in Australian politics, because he's a stand-up guy. I think every Australian would go, yep, if you wanted someone in there batting for you and doing the right thing, he's the guy that you'd want to send into bat. And then he just got chewed up and spat out.
He got in there and just had to bend over, and it was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was. Like he got used. So they used him as a ticket to get elected, and then he was basically shut down and kicked out the back door and couldn't do anything. So I think there's
I remember him coming, because I was a big Midnight Oil fan. Like I love Midnight Oil, and I've seen him live, and you sort of know where he stands on all this stuff. And then he got into politics, and he's talking about
and he joined Labor.
And
Bro,
well, hang on,
weren't
it was
you
worse
supposed
than
to be
that.
in the Greens? Like he was supposed to be on the Greens, that guy, right?
Yeah, but it was
supposed
worse
to be
than
on
that.
the
He was spearheading this policy for logging old growth forests in Tasmania. And I was like going, you what? You're cutting down like old growth, like hundreds and hundreds of year old, forests. And then he was fighting on the side of the logging companies, because it was like, well, who's gonna, they're gonna lose jobs. And I'm going, fuck their jobs. Like they can get new jobs. Like, why are you chopping down these massive trees that have been around for hundreds of years? So what you can profit? Like, get a new job. Like, and I just thought that was such a hypocritical stance for him to take, considering he was so pro green that whole time. Anyway, I kind of feel like that about some industries. Like, just a last point about that. Like some industries, right? Like, say for example, live exports of like cattle and things like that. They pander to these industries because they're like, oh, well, we can't. What happens to the live export industry if we put some things on? Oh, then people might lose jobs. It's like, I don't give a shit. Like if you're putting all these sheep in containers and then shipping them across the the Pacific or whatever, it's like, it's not very humane. And then I don't really care about if they lose their jobs. They can get new jobs.
There's a lot more to that. Like we're probably heading down a deep, dark path here as well. But a politician can say one thing on one side, and then it literally happened. I was talking to a friend about it the other day, where they'd shipped off a whole heap of livestock, and then just political posturing that meant that the ship was sitting out in the middle of nowhere for weeks or months or something like that. It was a huge amount of time, and so it's not about the welfare of the animals. It was about point scoring and other things that were going on. Yeah,
man. I just wanted to I asked, sort of, I'm going in a different direction right now, but I just asked Venice AI to give me a joke.
Oh, okay.
Tell me a
Light
joke.
in the mood. Yep.
Why did the gambler bring a jar of peanut butter to the sports bar? Because he wanted to have a real spread at the bar.
Okay.
Sort of not. It's not quite there, is it? It's not quite there.
Well,
tell it to act like Billy Connolly and do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Act like
it'll just be haggis instead of peanut butter or something.
Well, at least it'll be a spread at a table then. That sounds a bit better than at a bar, I think. But
yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. Klaus said there's a whole heap of vogue in art and science from like incorporates Gestalt and experience. Okay, that's interesting.
That's a little bit highbrow for me, that comment.
I think that's just like science and art and stuff, like a fusion and stuff, which is cool. A lot of her art is sort of got anatomy based sort of stuff in it, because she's a doctor. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. What else are we talking about?
Some of these jokes really miss the mark. They just totally like. Yeah,
did it do it in Billy Connolly's theme or?
No, it just told me really like a joke.
Okay, so,
it's not even funny. So
yeah, I was playing around with it the other day, and so with the thing I like about Venice is you can go in and actually edit all the system prompts.
Yes.
So you can have multiple prompts there, and you just flick them on and off. as you choose. And it accidentally left the Billy Connolly one on there that I was messing around with while I was trying to do serious stuff, and I was
Awesome.
Yeah, some of the responses coming back. I went, oh shit, better get that off.
This is funny because love his dance style, but I've missed. There's obviously not a comment in here. I don't think I'm seeing all the comments.
No, that's about Peter Garrett.
Oh, true. Good call. Nice. I just wanted to quickly bring up a couple of things that had happened recently. So the CPI inflation came in 3.3 lower than expected. And then I think we saw a bit of a pump in the crypto markets. Like I think BTC and things like that had gone up. But it looks like these Ethereum ETFs have been delayed. Like they were being approved, right? But then now there's some form, and Gary Gensler was in the hot seat. I saw something, and he was basically saying that it could be towards the end of summer, which I guess is like around that August timeframe that we originally thought. But
Gary was making that call.
Yeah, Gary was saying that could be towards the end of summer by the time they get. So I'm thinking, well, if it's up to BlackRock or whoever to produce these forms, wouldn't they be doing it as fast as possible? Like, I don't see why it's now all of a sudden the end of summer.
I think Lizzie Warren's still getting her stuff set up so she can buy a bit more ETH.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, are they literally just delaying it so they can stack more ETH? Like, what is going on? Because that affects us as well, like, you know, with the PulseChain sort of ecosystem, and we're sort of waiting for ETH to pump.
Could it be also that some of these like the funds that have been deployed into Bitcoin has taken away from what, like they've sort of shot their load, so to speak? It's not like there's
institutional level.
Yeah.
No way, man. That's not even getting started. That stuff.
I wouldn't have thought it's getting started. I thought people were going to start stacking ETH like it's nobody's business. I just wonder if how much of it is OTC and how much of it is going to be on chain.
Probably a lot is OTC, but that's a part of the market as well. I mean, OTC is a part. If people are happy to sell, but if people are happy, if people are happy to sell at a price, and other people are happy to buy at a price, that is a part of the market, and you have to respect the market.
Yeah, fair call.
It's a market, man. Yeah. It's the way it is, and we have to.
I guess what I'm saying is like if BlackRock are like scaling into BTC and they're buying like $2 billion worth of BTC, and then the price doesn't move, it's like, this is just all OTC. So
no, but it takes supply off the market though. So if they're absorbing that OTC supply, and other people have a need for it, and there's a shortage of it, ultimately there's going to be price impacts.
There has to be some sort of pent-up sort of spring effect that happens, surely.
If the demand outstrips the supply, you are going to have price positive moves because people will go elsewhere to buy it. So if they can't get it there, they'll look to the next best place where they can get it.
But that hasn't happened yet, and that's the point. The point is it hasn't happened yet. So we can speculate whether it's happening because of OTC or whether it's even happening at all. Because, like, I mean, I think it's reasonable to say it's not like anyone knew that the Ethereum ETF was on the horizon. We didn't even think that. Like,
it came forward.
Yeah, I actually didn't think it would happen this cycle. No way.
Yeah, so it happened, and maybe these funds didn't, like, they haven't, I don't know, projected for that.
But they can't.
So
but also they can't do anything until. Technically, they can't do anything until it's in place anyway. So you can get all prepared, but if they're playing by the rules, then they can't buy it until it's being given a green light.
It was supposed to be. When was it supposed to get? Like it was. There was a. What happened?
So the ETFs, there was 8 ETFs got approved, and then they said it was going to be 10 days for them to start trading.
And it's been longer.
That. It's been way longer, yeah. And then now they're saying the actual won't start trading until end of summer. I was like, are you serious? And then it's just because of some forms and some paperwork. I'm thinking, what? Are they holding this back on purpose? Or, maybe there's some other things at play.
I think we have introduced a lot of risk with the Bitcoin ETF as well, just from a between Coinbase and the ETF issuers, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect in terms of there can be an imbalance in terms of the assets they've got under management and what they're so on paper what they've got under management and what they're actually
that's a
holding.
real problem. That's a real problem because that's defeats the purpose of having a spot ETF. The whole point of a spot ETF is that you need to hold in reserve what you have. Yeah, you need to get it and have it. And if you don't have that, then that's when they can just sell it. Oh yes, I'm selling you
cash. It's the cash
and,
exchange.
Okay, which is okay. So to put it in perspective, it's no different to an exchange reporting everyone has balances of Bitcoin but not holding it in reserve. So it's, I guess, when you look at it
that's
like
why
that,
we say not to. And look, I say not to buy an ETF either. It's like I would say if you're going to hold Bitcoin or Ethereum, then you should just hold the private keys. Just hold the private keys. You know, just do it yourself. If you're going to do it, like, why rely on third parties? Like,
what I'm seeing, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I'm seeing a lot of boomer platforms launch, and what they do is they make it really simple for these guys to get into crypto. And I think I did talk about this last week, where they'll pop up an offer, and it'll be buy a crypto bundle, and so you send in 10 grand, and you buy a crypto bundle, and that consists of a certain amount of Bitcoin, paper Bitcoin, a certain amount of paper ETH, and then 20% of it will be in this platform's shitcoin that they've created, and there's no liquid market Bitcoin or anything like that. It's just on their platform, and they can dictate whatever the price is.
Yeah,
and they're literally. So I was looking at one the other day. It's been around for a long time. I don't actually like it, but it's getting promoted again, and you can't actually withdraw your Bitcoin off the platform.
Oh wow!
So you never actually own it. It's all done cash. So you send in cash, you hold Bitcoin, but all it is a balance on their database.
Yeah.
In the background, they're supposed to be going and buying the Bitcoin. No clue if they do. And then you literally cannot send it off. So the only way you can exit is sell it. If you want to get out of that
platform. Sound like cash at the bank.
Well, it is like you're literally locked in. You're literally locked into that platform. Like if you don't want to get stung for capital gains, you can't move it off. Like you have to sell it down to get your funds out of the platform.
Yeah, I've seen one of those early in my crypto piece as well, and they had like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then silver and gold on there, and you could tell it was all just on paper, and you just send in dollars, and then you can only sell it, and that's it.
That's what this was. The same. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah. Wow. Nah, I'd stay away from that stuff.
Do you remember what that one was called?
Started with a B.
B, that one. Okay.
Can't remember.
Oh, no. But yeah, we probably shouldn't.
For some reason, anyway.
So this one started with a D, and they've rebranded recently.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, I just stay away from all that stuff. I'm sort of just want to deal with things on chain mainly. But I do wonder about some of these meme coins, if they're not sort of subsidized in some regard by these exchanges. Like, I wonder if, say, there's like that Brett coin on Base or whatever. I wouldn't put it past them if they have some huge, some buying pressure on that sort of thing, because they want people to come over to Base because they're like, hey, look, we've got a meme coin. And and I reckon other exchanges might do that as well. Like, you have some.
Well, they all get given liquidity.
Okay. Oh, well, on their exchange they do, yeah.
So if you want your token on the exchange, the team's got to do a deal to supply a certain amount of the token, which effectively gets given to the exchange. Yeah. Same thing happened we just done the same thing on MEXC.
MEXC, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea that, hang on, because we've got the forks of all the PulseChain copy, like of all the, when PulseChain forked Ethereum, all those copies, those exchanges already have them, right? So, I mean, I know that there was some talk about, Richard's team excluding some exchanges from receiving the airdrop. But I think in the end, I don't think they did, because you can see that those wallets have them on chain. So they shouldn't really require a donation because they've already got them.
Yeah, of Pulse though, they're not going to have anything significant.
Maybe not Pulse, but like all the ERC20 copies.
Yeah.
You know, like say Crow, for example. Like let's just pick, you know, crypto.com. You know, they should have a metric shit ton of P-Crow ready to go. Yep. And that P-Crow is not that far away from the Crow price. Like it's like, you know, maybe I think it's like a 5x or something. And there are some examples of PRC20s. Like I know Cream is actually currently at parity.
Yeah. You get into a funny territory though, from an exchange point of view, where, yeah, they may have these things sitting in their wallets, but who actually owns them? So as a user, at a point in time, you probably had funds on the exchange and especially when they're
really it's the users have them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So and I think Richard was saying this at one point, if the users kick up enough stink and say, look, we want our coins.
Yeah. Maybe we should be pushing that narrative that we sort of go, hey, everybody, you should hit up your exchange and tell them you want your free money.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
That's going to make them sell, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's just going to make them dump it.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a value extraction event. And that's, who was I? I was speaking to someone the other day. I was in a private chat. I'm trying to think. I'll come back to me in a minute. I'll think
that's cool. There was a few other things.
We were talking about ways you can bring in value without it being in an extraction event. And I can't remember what they come up with a really good point. I should have written it down. I'll think on it for a second. If I remember, I'll pipe up.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, yeah, sometimes I think, I've got to remember to say something that's important. So I was just going to say, there's a couple of things going on. MetaMask, apparently, you've got this smart transaction thing where I think they're creating some sort of like virtual mempools, which they're trying to combat sandwich bot attacks, I guess. So that's kind of interesting. Because
that would probably make it worth using that feature, the swap feature in your wallet.
Yeah, because a lot of people, if they're dealing with large funds, they can get front run and get the sandwich bot, the MEV bots. So if MetaMask's solution is to create these private mempools, that could be interesting. It makes me think that maybe people should say, we're not early because crypto's been around for over 10 years and we're the top of the S curve, all this sort of stuff. But really, like, we're only just getting wallets now that don't require like native coins to be used as gas. That you can just trade and then it will use whatever coins you've got and convert it into gas. We're only now just getting wallets where they have these virtual mempools and only now like Coinbase is starting to do on chain. It still seems a little bit like it's in its infancy a little bit.
You'd be probably old enough to remember this, I think. Literally yesterday I was thinking, man, because I was clicking on things and moving stuff around and connecting the wallets and stuff, and I said to myself, like, we are very much still in the modem days where you like to do something on the internet, you had to dial up and take 5 minutes to connect and I think you will. I think you'll look back on this in 10, 20 years time and go, oh, well, back in our day, we had to bridge in like things that. We had that, if you had to wrap an asset in a certain on another chain, you had to do that. Like you had to trust some dodgy bridge, and we're very close to the code and the protocols at the moment. And whereas with the internet, you're not now. You don't even you don't have to set up all the dialers and all the PPP authentication and all that sort of stuff. You just don't even know that all that goes on in the background now.
Yeah, and you were talking, Jex, last week that maybe.
It's interesting that you're talking about that stuff, man. I was saying it's interesting that you're talking about that because, like, in the last week, I've just been, that annoying problem when you've got like a local server in your network and you're trying to access it, but like you access it and you get the not secure like thing in there. So I've just been like going down the rabbit hole of like fixing that problem. Like locally, but not doing it in a way, like doing it with one certificate. not doing it in a way that I have to go and do it manually for every browser in every workstation, like, and just going down that with like, so I've just, it's a rabbit hole. I've just installed like Nginx proxy manager, and that lets you do all this Let's Encrypt stuff. And man, these things, you go down rabbit holes. Do you ever go down a rabbit hole and you say to yourself, why do I even want to do this? And then you're so far down it, it's like, now I've just got to do it out of like, I've just got to do it now. Like, I have to finish this, you know?
Finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why.
George Chops knows what you're talking about. Yeah. So I was just going to say that you were talking, Jaxa, last week that 9mm might be moving to base, and I was like, I hadn't heard about that. And then I was like, I thought maybe that what they were talking about was, you know, wrapping tokens, like any token on PulseChain, and then being able to bridge it across. And, you know, but I think you're right. I think they actually are going to put the 9mm DEX on base. So that could be really interesting, because if people will start to use that 9mm on base, and then they start to trade like wrapped HOA or wrapped whatever coin, and then they see that they start performing well, they might kind of go, hang on, are these wrapped coins? So why is it going up so much? It's actually because it's going up on PulseChain, and this is just the wrapped copy.
But it's also, if you get a foothold as one of the major dexes over there, or you don't even have to be major, you've just got to be in that realm where you're in the top 5 or so.
Yes.
And you've got options to go to another chain. Obviously, whatever you're listing on there is getting exposed to all their user base. So I think it's a pretty clever way to
exactly. It's like a
do that.
vampire attack almost in some regard.
Yeah. Very much.
Yeah,
so.
and so I was wondering, like, say for example with PulseX, you know, when V3 liquidity, like asymmetric liquidity on PulseX, like, do you think that will happen?
I was having this chat with someone the other day. I don't think we need it. I don't think we want it. Is the better question? Is the better answer? I don't think we want it.
I might disagree. But...
Okay, so at the moment, V2 pools, the symmetrical pools are very good for doing if you want to do the Hart's law thing. They work very well for doing that. And so we might all think that now is a good time to keep that in place for the foreseeable future, because there may be a plan that requires that. And then maybe later, then you would introduce the V3 pools. And the problem is you go, okay, well, yeah, I can treat a V3 pool like that now anyway. I can go across the full range, which is fine. And you as a major actor may be able to do that, but you can't control what the rest of the market will do. So maybe you need to keep that within a certain scope for now.
Yeah, I like the idea that, you know, with V2, you can't have these sell walls. And I think that's always good, because you have to provide both sides. So you're sort of in, you know, equal amounts. So
it very much changes the relationship between if you've got a lot of linked liquidity pools and things.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder about, like, say how, you know, Hex did its 10,000X. There was sort of times where maybe liquidity was thinned out when the price was then being pumped. So there was liquidity being removed before those big pumps. And I just hope that I really want to be able to emulate that again. I really hope that we can. And a lot of that was done on Uniswap V3 though, wasn't it? So is it?
I think I would argue that it was more effective when it was V2.
Okay, so if you say, as long as you remove the so if you thin out the liquidity even on V2, then you can pump it harder. Because I think that just makes sense, right? Like,
yeah, I think you just got. I think you've just maybe got more predictability, I guess. Like, there's not as many moving parts. That's the way I'd put it.
So I guess what I'm sort of getting at is, like, the SAC wallets, for example, if they were going to, you know, send the price, you know, over a period of time, or it just did one giant God candle or whatever, it would still make sense to thin the liquidity first before you start pumping sort of thing.
Yep.
So maybe, I just wonder about because it seems interesting that we've always had around this $30 million liquidity, 30 to 40 million for like PLS, PLSX, that sort of stuff. A lot of these pools seem to be around about that number, even when the price was 3 times higher, or now that it's 3 times lower. It's like that liquidity has been sitting at that sweet spot.
So you think as the price went up, liquidity was getting pulled?
Well, in terms of if the same amount of coins were in and the price goes down like by 3x, then the liquidity would have dropped by 3x, but the liquidity stayed the same. So people are adding more liquidity as the price.
So they're adjusting the liquidity. So if the price of all of it goes up, obviously you'd have deeper liquidity, but you're saying someone was then withdrawing liquidity out of the.
Yeah, you'd want to remove it as it goes up. So that it
and I honestly think that would also naturally happen as well. So why, if you're in a liquidity pool and things are moving up, you're getting maximum impermanent loss. So you, as a LP provider, you may want to actually reduce your exposure there anyway.
Yeah, true.
What you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know what you mean. Yeah, I've seen that as well. When you've got a LP position and then the price starts going up, you think, oh, I need to take some out because I don't want to be wearing too much. So that sometimes happens with, like, say, if you're going in like a Pulse ETH pair, and then the price of Pulse starts moving heavily against ETH, like you might want to take it out, but then you can always go back into like a Pulse ink. Like you can use the ink that you've accumulated through yield farming to then go with like an ink Pulse pair, because ink and Pulse are kind of moving sort of sideways against each other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's less in terms of loss.
That's right. If you know that they're going to move relative sort of close to each other, then you can limit that risk.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull up those charts and stuff. We can have a look, but that's an interesting way of like adjusting your position depending on what's running, and because the fees are so cheap, it's not a hard thing to adjust your position.
So I've been doing a lot of messing around over the last few days, and if I was approving all of those transactions on ETH, you're getting crushed. I can't believe how many different, like every time you go into a farm, you got to approve every side of the token, and like there's just so much you got to approve and stuff like that. You can't do it on ETH. It'd be crazy to even try now, unless you're playing with large amounts. Yeah.
And I mean, I was also going to say, like, that sort of supposition that I was sort of saying, like, what would happen if they were, whoever the SAC wallets, if they had it would depend on whether they have access to liquidity positions anyway, whether they could remove liquidity. It would be interesting to see, your guys' thoughts on whether you think that the SAC wallets might deploy over a period of time, or do you think, because I think Richard had actually said, I'll just pull this up. This was just an interesting comment I noticed. He said, Bitcoin and crypto often have this trait where the majority of their gains happen in just a few days spread out over the year. Today, for instance, quite a green day on some coins, not financially fast. Past performance, no guarantee in the future. So it's not saying like this is how it always is, but he is saying that sometimes the majority of the gains can happen in a few days. I thought that's interesting because, some people thinking that maybe there might just be one day that the SAC wallets might just launch these tokens.
Well, that's where that saying comes from, don't you? So time in the market is better than timing the market, and that's where that saying comes from. Because you can be in the market for 12 months or 2 years, but all the gains happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so that's where that saying's come from.
But do you think that that's likely? Like, I mean, because Hex went up over like, when it did the majority of its gains, maybe over like a 6-month period or something.
No. You ever look at the chart and it rallies hard, then it rests.
Let's look at the chart. Can we look at the chart? Can we look at the Hex chart? What's going on with Hex?
Oh, Are you talking about on Ethereum? I don't even know
Whichever.
if I can pull that up because oh,
I've got one. I've got it. I'll present.
have you got Hex on Ethereum there? Because my trading view just stopped.
No, I've got Hex on.
It just went down off
I've got Hex
the
on
screen. Hex on Pulse, I've got. Yeah.
Hex on Pulse. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got some watch lists and stuff here that I can just pull that up pretty quick. So this is Hex on PulseChain, and then so I guess
So
what I
what's
was
going
saying-
on with Hex? Like, because it feels like we've been
in Pulse terms
doing-
or just in dollar terms?
just in dollar terms.
It's basically doing not a lot. I mean, it's just unfortunately it broke down.
Can we go
from
on
the
a
support.
lower time frame? Maybe jump down to an hour or 4 hour.
Yeah, 4 hour. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm not
Like,
sure that
can
you'll
we
get.
squeeze it in a bit? Squeeze it in. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not
sorry, zoom out, not squeeze it in.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to not go that close unless I'm trading, but in terms of 4 hours, but we've definitely broken down below support.
So you pretty
Yeah,
much
we
at
talked
the
about this.
like you at the low of the low there, really, aren't you? Is that
We really-
that's the whole?
It's not an all-time low, but it's pretty.
But that pretty much represents the pulse chart as well.
We're doing a bump and grind. We're doing an R. Kelly. We're doing an R. Kelly right now.
Peeing on people.
Bro, getting
I'm
people.
waiting
You do
one.
that. That's a Dave Chappelle thing. Remember that whole pee on me joke with R. Kelly? Look that up if you want.
I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, so Dave
Kelly.
Chappelle, R. Kelly, yeah. Anyway.
AI is not capable of telling that joke yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, don't look it up just now, man. You'll be mortified.
go back and look at that one.
But
We've
yeah,
been in the low 0.6 of a cent. We've been in this for.
look, it's you can't say much good about it. Really, it's like it's just been
It's
bleeding
sharp.
out. It's been bleeding out. So I guess the pulse. I tend to look at just the pulse chart, and you can see in that we broke down from support here. Like this was that. Oh, this is on the weekly, right? And then it sort of came down and it just bounced off this, and it's pretty terrible. But hopefully, it's just going to grind sideways for a while. But then that's why we're talking about Ethereum, because we're interested in the ETFs and what could potentially happen.
I don't think that chart looks like it. Obviously, it's come down a lot, but to me, that's not terrible. Like it's respected the structure of the chart. Like
So far,
yeah, but it's
look, I think this is why we haven't talked about it, actually, because RH just unfollowed everyone on Twitter. Not that I really care, but you can tell that it's like affected sentiment a little bit. It's down 70% from the weekly close about 14 weeks ago. I mean, maybe it just had to do, and it was just like the SAC wallets were pumping it, and it was getting sold down too much, and it just decided that it's got to go down another 80%, and then reset and try again.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think those last, that big run up, or that run up we had, was probably, partly to keep structure in the chart, but also to show us that, to try and rebuild the sentiment, because it was at the sentiment was at an all-time low then. Do you know what I mean? You could just see it in the community. So, and then we got a bit of reprieve from that. And so I wouldn't, I just think that there was a purpose behind that sort of, that buying in with the SAC wallets. And a lot of it was to do with sentiment, I reckon. But maybe he had
Was
to.
that what went on in January? Was that January when that happened?
No, it was probably
Feb?
like 2 months ago. Yeah.
March?
The pump, the SAC wallets was January. Yeah. That was
January,
that giant green candles here. Yeah. So I kind of thought that was just like a test run. But I must admit, I was a bit disappointed that, because I thought that the SAC wallets would actually like support the chart at key levels. Like when it came down to this 20 MA on the week, I thought, oh, it's going to support it here, and it didn't. And I was like, are you serious?
Why would you though? Like, why would you be exit liquidity for anyone? Like,
well, just so
you
your
can't-
chart doesn't look like absolute.
I'm just looking.
trash.
Yeah,
I'm
but
looking at
but
a
the
chart.
market's going to do what the market's going to do. If you've got retards that want to dump it, they're going to dump it. Like,
Yeah,
why give them a good
that's
price?
true. I can see the argument both ways. I'm just saying it's not what I would have done.
When I look at the chart,
Sorry, you go.
So
when I
so
look
go-
at
go
this
ahead.
chart, I think to myself, what this is doing is teaching the market that this is teaching people in the market that if they don't sell on a small pump, they're going to have to eat. What did we do? We went up to almost 3 cents. We came down to 1 cent. We went back up to 2.2 cents. We came down to 0.6 of a cent. We go up to 1.8 cents. We come down to 0.7 of a cent. We go up to almost 3 cents. We come down to 0.6 of a cent. It's almost like every time it does like a triple or a quadruple or whatever, or a double, it comes back down. And it's like it's teaching. It's almost like it's going to teach people who are trading that's what's going to happen. I wonder if that's going to teach those. I wonder if the market's going to teach them a lesson at some point. And I mean, this could be just like pie in the
I don't
sky.
know.
I just wonder. I wonder at some point if people just sell like they just dump it down at some point. Like there's another pump, it gets dumped down, but instantly just and it goes up. Then those people
that
get
would
left
teach
behind.
that would teach those people. Yeah, but look, I think traders have been successful. If you look at
They
it,
have
the
been.
people have
Well,
been
they have
holding
been
have been
for-
getting wrecked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And people don't like to
Well,
say
I mean,
it, but
only
that's the truth.
only if you're not. I mean, this is going to sound like whatever, but only if you're not staked.
Oh, but you can be both, like as well. Like you can be.
You can be both, but you can like the majority of what you have can be staked in a staking ladder, right? And then what's going on in the market immediately, like right now, is only affecting a small part of your bag.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
different, isn't it? Yeah, from majority stakes, it just being majority.
So there are stakes
from a
two or
psychological point
three.
of view. Sorry.
I was just going to say stakes from 2 or 3 years ago are like 3x what they were back then. If they were longer stakes,
In hex terms.
stakes in hex terms. So
But if yeah,
I'm not like trying to give people say that is like what you should therefore do or
no,
like
because we
giving
don't
advice.
know.
I'm just simply pointing out that this token is not just like it's not about just although it seems like nowadays it's just about trading, but the actual function in the token is for it to be staked and mined for the long term. And then all this volatility is sort of not as important as you would
just
think
be
it
noise.
is.
Yeah, true. There could be an argument made that people who sell the bottoms and things like that are going to get wrecked, and the people who hold long term and like the stakers and things like that could actually be the ones that win in the end. That's just like over what time frame. Like in the short time frame, you could argue that traders have been better, but maybe in the long time frame,
you might also find that
know.
traders win short and long because they've increased their coin count.
Yeah, it depends on how they're trading, right? If they just sell completely at the bottom and they're out, and then they miss some sort of massive god candle pump, then they'll get wrecked. But if they're
decent traders though, and they're playing the swings, then
and that's the question I was saying before about: do you think it's going to be, just like one day we're just going to wake up and see it like shot to the moon, or do you think it's just more like a consistent effort? Because you might see if there's a consistent sort of pump, remove liquidity, pump, consolidate, pump, remove liquidity, all this sort of thing. People might start to recognize that, and then all these people will start flooding back in. All the traders will kind of be.
What makes that hard to do? So at the moment, it's easy to do because you've got a lot of left-hand side information. When you get into blue sky, that's when it's a lot harder to pick those trades because you don't
True.
know where the hell things are going to stop and where they're going to pull back to. Like you definitely don't know where they're going to stop. So you've got to wait for it to peter out. But yeah, that's probably a little bit harder because there's not so much information on the chart in that way. Some people will get that wrong. And
if I was going to predict like what could happen, I would say that it's going to be like, I should do it backwards. It should be like this all the way up because every time it goes up and then comes, like it will shake people out, and then potentially some people get left behind all the way up, all the way, because everyone's going to have different points. Like I've seen people, for example, there's someone on Twitter who was saying that for them, when they get, if and when it gets to 10 to 15 cents, they're out,
Yeah, right.
And different people will have there might be people out there who have got in at half a cent or and I'm talking about PX or a cent, and for them maybe a 5x is fine. There's going to be other people. There's going to be other people who are just going to wait for like however long it takes. They're going to wait for $1.
Do you think that Richard is? Go ahead, Triplet.
Psychologically, I'd say it'd be a lot harder to sell at those levels, though. Yeah, if you're seeing the chart go up massively, these people that say they're going to sell at 10 or 15 cents, they'll probably end up, just not having the balls to sell because they get bullish all of a sudden. The sentiment changes, and that's why I think everyone's saying, "Oh, everyone's just going to sell their bags on the way up." It's never going to pump far. I disagree with that because I think of how hard
people
it would
get
be.
Greedy. People get greedy.
Greedy.
I think people selling their bags is why it's going to pump harder. I think people selling their bags on the way up is just going to they've sold their bags. They can't sell it down again. So after that, if it pumps harder, then there's less. It's less likely to get sold out. Whoever's left over after that guy sells.
Yeah, it's an interesting one though because it's really unknowable because this is the whole shake out the weak hands thing, and now we're shaking out the strong hands. But I do wonder if people don't sort of give enough credit to the idea that once you've sold something down so far, that you can get new weak hands come in and just buy it up for pennies on the dollar. And you don't know that. It's not proof of strong hands that they're able to buy it at cheap prices. So then they might be... The guys who are buying it at these low prices could be equally as weak-handed as the people.
What if there was some big entities? What if there was a handful of big entities, or maybe one that's just sitting in the background, slowly, just slowly eating up these cheap prices, but not pushing the price up, so that they're slowly just eating up the supply, slowly, but not pumping the price, because pumping the price just means that people dump it.
So it's not in their interest.
Yeah,
so they're happy just happy to suck it all up, and then when it's ready, then you go, let's go.
All of the trading on the way up and down will probably be good as well because of for PulseX, things like the buy and burn and whatever. Plenty of movement on that would also help us a little bit. So that could be interesting.
And also, do we really think, given that the the SAC wallet has like so much Ethereum, do we really expect anything of great consequence to happen before? And this is, I don't know what the SAC wallet can do, or what would or wouldn't do. I have no idea. But
sure,
it stands to reason that before Ethereum tops out, there's no reason for the SAC wallet to really do much before.
Depends on what it does. I mean, because it could use that ETH and stake it, right, and get the yield on it. Like there could be some sparkling.
That makes a lot more sense than them selling Ethereum into these. That makes a lot more sense because that's like more of a sustainable long-term, way to
generating yield, using the yield to pump the price. I think so. I mean, that's what I would do, but you have to be confident in those yield protocols. But we don't know. I think it's just you have to zoom out and just think, it's going to be a lot longer time frame, because some of the stuff we talk about is just, fan fiction stuff. It could play out, it may not.
How much do you
It's
think
fan fiction,
play
but
with all
it sort of
this?
makes sense, though.
It does make sense to me. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Trudley.
What do you think about the fact that so many more people play with liquidity providing and stuff now compared to even back in the original Hex days and stuff on Ethereum, and it's more affordable? Do you think that'll play a big way in what the chart looks like, or
I hope so.
The volatility?
I hope so. I think if people can sell through providing liquidity, that is actually the best way to sell, really, because it affects the chart the least.
Well, there's a few ways now, like with the liquidity, and there's so many dexes to do that on. But then there's even the ICOSA stuff, if that starts going again, selling sort of that way as well. So there's a few ways that we haven't really seen how it actually affects on the way up. So it'll all be interesting to watch. So
I think that I think as an ecosystem, I think we've gotten a lot more complicated, and I'd say there's probably a lot more savvy people, like people that are savvy with the liquidity providing that are out and about now. That's
for sure. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, they might see a lot of EESs. I mean, that's one of the things I like about the Hex sort of contract.
I hope so.
The EESs, just getting paid out to stakers. So, or 50% of them too. Yeah, I think that works in a bear market, but it works in a bull market too, right? So you get in a bear market, price goes down, people, rage quit, and they EES, and then stakers get paid. In a bull market, people start to think, oh, hang on, maybe I don't want to wait an extra 2 years for this stake to end. I might just EES it, and because it's 60% of the way there.
They remember the
pain.
Trying
to cash out. They remember the pain.
It's like, I'm not going through this pain
the bear market.
The next 4 years.
Exactly.
I'm happy with this
60%
or whatever.
Of whatever.
I'm happy with
once
this.
they're over that 50% mark, I think you'll see a lot of people EES.
If they're not a big payday one, yeah.
Possibly, yeah. So then stakers get paid again, right? So
the longer we are towards a 10-year mark, the less big payday matters, because big paydays are fixed. It is, because big payday was a fixed amount. It was a fixed amount of Hex that happened at the time of big payday, right?
Not the way the calculation works, though.
What do you mean?
The majority of your payout is done literally in the last week or two.
In terms, even the last day you get the double.
Yeah, the last day is even matters.
No, but your Hex stake at the time of big payday, there's so many variables along the way, but as it's determined, it was determined at that time, and then I guess whoever doesn't end stake prior, which would affect it. But assuming no one end staked, you will just get that amount of the pool of big payday funds, because that was like all the bits and pieces that weren't claimed along the way in the first year and all that sort of stuff.
But if you so what I was saying was if you've got a stake that was done prior to big payday, and it could be a 6-year stake, and you sit out and you wait until 5 years and 360 days, and then you end it, you get hammered, man.
No, you don't get any big payday. You don't get any big payday you don't get any big payday. If you end stake 1 day early, you get no big payday. You miss out on the big payday.
Right.
Yeah, you miss out on the big payday completely. No, but what I'm saying is that the longer the stake is, if it's a 10-year stake, for example, as a proportion of all the yield that you're getting in your stake, the yield component is going to be way bigger than the proportion of the payday towards the end of the stake. So I guess what I'm saying is that early end staking 2 weeks before the end, right, and missing out on the big payday as a proportion of all of the yield that you've got, in that stake, the proportion of the big payday yield is actually going to be much smaller than it is, let's say, now, 2 or 3 years after. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
proportion of the big payday
Agreed.
payment
Yeah, agreed.
is actually quite small at the end of a 10-year
Yeah,
stack.
that's true. Yeah.
I probably didn't explain it correctly before
Yeah.
when I was talking about it. Guys, I'm gonna bid you farewell because it's
No worries.
good chatting to you all.
No worries. Good to chat to you, 43. Yep. Thanks for coming on and saying hello. And enjoy your weekend, mate. Catch you next time.
Catch you later, man.
Cheers. See you guys.
See you, 43.
I'll just be too
Yes. No worries. Some of that big payday stuff is because I wasn't around for big paydays, so I've never really looked at the
I think,
math.
and to be honest, we're all probably rusty on all the nuance around it now anyway, because that was, we were all in the weeds of it way back then, but now I think a lot of that knowledge is forgotten or
I remember looking at the hex contract thing, like the guide for layman's terms, and going through all that stuff, and then but it's been a while.
And some of the guys that were really good at explaining that, I just haven't seen him in the community for a long time. So Dev Kyle, I'm assuming he's still around in the background somewhere. But
Dev Kyle, he's awesome. What did you think about the RH unfollowing everyone or on Twitter?
Man, it's never affected me. I was never followed in the first place.
Oh, really? That's so harsh. You've been around longer than anyone, and he wasn't even following you. He probably thought that you were Blue Bum, and was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm following Blue Bum for sure."
I've never been. It's never really bothered me one way or the other.
That's fine.
It had to be done. Like the problem was, the issue happens is if he's following a whole bunch of people and then he singles out someone and unfollows them, they get massively butthurt, and that we've seen it happen many times, and that's what's actually spawned the Tang game. Like, that's the origin story of the Tang game.
That's like his origin story. Yeah.
So people go, like, if you unfollow someone, they fucking just go rogue on you. So the best thing you can do is just
create this whole other community to spite you. That's funny. It's kind of silly, like, to see, people getting upset about this stuff, because it's like, does it really matter? Like, in some regards, I think it's a little bit liberating, because if I was going to talk about a Tangang ticker or something like that, I don't know why I would, but if I was, I would like to have the freedom of doing that. But if you're in the back of your mind thinking, I'm going to lose my follow if I start shilling, whatever, and then you think, screw the whole thing, I don't care. But so it might find, I wondered if it's not like one of those reverse psychology things where if he's not following people, then they might be free to shill more stuff, and that might get more adoption. But then I don't think why would he want more trash being shilled?
I don't think he's that meta. I think he just wants he wanted to stop the crap on his timeline.
Yeah, and I think people were using his name a little bit without his permission, like sort of saying, well, RH follows me and I shill PDI all the time, therefore he created PDI. And you're like, what? That's not what he said. That's just what you're saying. Like, he probably has you muted, bro. Like,
it got to the point where he basically had to do it because everyone's gone off and created their own thing. So everyone's got a interest in shilling something else.
He was following me, but he probably muted me. I'm assuming. I have no idea. So then it's kind of like, I'm not going to try and claim that anything I say is endorsed by him. It just seems weird that people were doing that, but they were. So maybe
you look at the chain in the way it is now, and you go, it's turned into a shit show on PulseChain. But that's what all the chains are that are popular at the moment. It's just meme coinery.
Yeah. It is
regarding that RH thing of him unfollowing everyone, I really don't see it as a negative to the community at all. Just because it was all like everyone. It's different if there was a select few that were, shilling something and then he, unfollowed them. I think that would show a bit more of that sort of, that either favoritism or, being selective of who he likes and who he doesn't, or, different approvals. Giving one example, and I love Matty. He's so good at what he does and for the community. But one example could be even his intro says like has an RH clip saying, you know, I like Matty Allen. He does this and that. So that's really cool, and it's been used for a long time. But now that Matty's got, you know, done this other coin and he's sort of, you know, just doing his own thing a little bit, yeah, that could be looked at as a bad thing if as an endorsement.
Okay, if you're calling a spade, all the major people that were behind Hex to begin with have all got their own shit going on.
100%, yeah. And so that was only one example, and that wasn't to throw shade on him. Just the easiest, most relatable example. Yeah,
it's hard to watch, man. Some of it, to be honest, I see a lot of people creating coins, and you just kind of go on, bruh. Like you guys were all talking smack about people creating their own coins. Like, you know, like say for example, like Gunther, you know, he would create coins, and everyone would be like, "Oh, Gunther," and you know, you don't trust him. And then they create.
Here we go then. So, because I was thinking about this last night. Who was the first shitcoiner?
The first shitcoiner? What, in our community? Well, that's
who was it? Who was it? No.
Oh, Icosa guy, I guess.
Alex,
because he did Hedron. People were up in arms about Hedron, man. When Hedron,
they were.
Yeah. Who was the person that launched their shitcoin and copped so much flack for it?
The Dogecoin guy.
Yeah, everyone's even forgotten. It's been that long ago that everyone's forgotten it, and that was Conrad.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
The PZM thing. Yeah, that was. Yeah, you could see that coming a mile away. I think I unfollowed him.
Everyone should welcome Conrad back in with open arms.
Welcome him back. Welcome back, Conrad.
He was ahead of his time.
That's it. All we need is Brizology to make a coin, and then we're all done. Like the Brizology Cadillac coin or something, and then we know that has to be a bottom signal. Everyone will have a coin by then.
It's one of those comments that he made early on that the only people in crypto that make money are the holders and the founders. And I thought that was a really good encouragement to be holding coins. But apparently a lot of people took that as like an encouragement to just make their own meme coin.
I reckon that was a faux pas. And he fucked up saying that. And he realized he fucked up saying that because in later streams, he stopped saying that.
Yeah. When you think about it, because people go, well, hang on. I could do the hard yards and delay gratification and hold for ages, or I could just become a founder.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, it sounds like you've given me two options here, and one of them is way easier. This is the Tate sort of Dunning-Kruger thing where he just kind of goes, "Oh, I'm a crypto genius. I'm just going to launch my coin or whatever," and then it just gets destroyed. A lot of these coins, I mean. I don't want to cast aspersions. I think I'm saying that right. Cast aspersions on is it the crypto bestie? What's her name?
Yeah, Fashion Coder.
The young girl, Fashion Coder. Yeah, so she just recently created a meme coin on Solana, and I can tell you the chart doesn't look great.
I think that's most coins on Solana. I think they look like that.
See, I can. Oh, here it is. Oh, yes, this was just during the week, right? And so it's
how much of the trading on Solana is actually real people clicking buttons? Like sometimes I just wonder if most of it is bot driven, and there's just a few people in there.
Go back to your top G one that you had there. Is that or?
Well, actually, let me just do the intro. Let me do the intro for this, so I officially make this like a meme coin sort of segment. Put your tickers in the chat, people. Put your DGenus crypto tickers in the chat, and I will look at them. Just a little bit of encouragement for the people there. Here we go. Oh, that's funny. I keep finding different ways to introduce this segment, but it's basically just us looking at meme coins. So which one did you were saying to look at?
Daddy. Have you got the Daddy one there?
Jeez, that is such a grating thing. I've just been traumatized from people like talking about Sack Daddy this whole time. This whole anytime I hear people say Daddy, I'm just like, oh, what? Come on, people! Like, no, I don't have it in my Solana thing, but you're right. Tate, you just recently create this Daddy Tate.
I don't know which one it is though. There's that many different ones there. There's all.
Well, this one's got 2.4 million liquidity and there's $54 million volume. So I'm guessing it's this one.
Yeah, I don't know because I see that had quite a lot as well that were different.
So this is because Iggy Azalea released that mother coin, right? And then so he's just come along and done the Daddy coin. But it's just like I can't bring myself to imagine just shilling that to someone. Oh, you gotta check out this Daddy coin. They'd be like, bro, what are you doing?
I would imagine that he's got all these people in what's the bloody group he's called?
Yeah, don't know, but I know what you mean.
His paid group,
the War Room or whatever it is. Yeah, whatever they bloody call it. I would imagine that he's given those guys the heads up, then coming out to the broader
insiders.
Yeah, and dump it basically just want to enrich the guys that are paying in the War Room or whatever it is.
Yeah, and so they have public wallets, and then they sort of say, "Oh, look, we've got this locked liquidity, 80% burnt, and all of this sort of stuff." But yeah, they're just burning some of the supply, but they've got a whole bunch of other wallets that have bought up like 30% of the supply that they're probably. I think they have been selling like provably on chain. Yeah,
and that's the same thing. They reckon they burnt 110 million or something, but they're not burning 110 million.
It's paper money. It's not not real money. It's actually like on paper. Like 100 million, but there wasn't $100 million worth of liquidity. There's only 2.4 million in liquidity, right? So how can you burn $100 million from a pool that only has 2.4 million dollars?
So like it's all just. And look, he's getting what he wants. We're sitting here talking about it, so that's all it is. Is just
I mean, each side, right? As well. That's the other thing because it's actually only got $1.2 million worth of SOL in that pool. So
you got half the pool.
It's just half. Yeah, so that's just crazy. Like I don't know why people say that they've just burned $100 million. It's like, but yeah, like you say, we're talking about it. Look, I certainly wouldn't be buying it now. If you can get into these celebrity meme coins in like the first hour, then it's worth a bullet, right? Like, you put in $100 or something. Then that way, if it goes to zero, then who cares? But you got to be in quick, man. Like
I could imagine the conversation in the back rooms is something like, okay, guys, everyone load up on this. And when all the normies come in, that's when we're going to dump. That's exactly what it'll be.
Yeah. They're just looking for exit liquidity.
They just want to be extracting value.
Yeah, let's move on. I mean, there was a bunch that he did that I think have already wrecked. There was RMT has that classic, look of it, the dead cat bounce, and then the down. I mean, this isn't even over that long. This was only a week ago or something, and it's already done like a full cycle.
This is a Tate one as well.
Yeah, so Tate had like 2 or 3. There was like there was a top G coin, and I think basically someone else had just made the coin, and then they just give him all the supply or 50% of the supply or whatever, and then people are like, "Oh, it's his coin." Well, not really. It's someone else made it, and they've probably got big bags that they're selling. Evidently, because it's sold.
Yeah, because he was making some comment that I think this is a world first that someone's burnt 100 million. I'm like, Vitalik's probably done it 10 times over, man. Everyone used to send their shit to Vitalik.
Yeah, I mean, and also it's not real liquidity. It's not real money that he's burning. But like there was that gummy thing that the Banter guys had done.
So this is the Banter guys one, is it?
Yeah, that's the gummy one on Sol. I mean, they all look as bad as each other, really.
They've got a shelf life of literally a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks if you're lucky, man. A couple of days for some of them. I mean, yeah, look, and like we were saying, like that.
You wonder why RH unfollowed everyone.
Far out. I don't know. some of that stuff is terrible. And the excuse that I saw, was that that there was no way to create that on PulseChain. Like you could, there wasn't some pump.fun on PulseChain. It's like there fully is though, because there's GoPulse. You can create coins on PulseChain, right? Like pretty easily. And
is that what the thing is? When I look at the addresses, it shows pump or something on the front of the address.
So I think pump.fun is like a thing that you can create shitcoins on Solana, right? But there's another one I think that's just got on PulseChain, which is called hold.fun.
Right. Okay.
Always comes up with suspicious activity with my antivirus whenever I go to this site, so maybe don't trust it. But they do, you can go on PulseChain, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, you can do it on GoPulse, right? Like if you wanted to create, you can just literally go to like, I've never done it, but you can actually go to, coins, mint, create new coins. There you go. Yeah, you can do it on PulseChain. You don't have to go to Solana. But anyway, I thought that was a bit of an excuse because I just wanted to go to Solana. But that's fair enough. That guy tattooed Solana on his head, man. So like maybe this is like
Did you see Hodl Dog's comment?
Yeah, Hodl Dogs has some really good ones. He's been saying some funny stuff on people.
Yeah, because it spells anal OS backwards or something. So every time.
In the mirror. He does too. Yeah. I didn't see that comment, but I have seen there are tickets called anal OS because of Solana backwards as well. Because he was in the mirror in that one, wasn't he? So anyway, let's look at PulseChain stuff. So let's have a quick look, Tangang. Now, I have been talking a little bit of smack about the charts, not about the Tangang, but in the last few weeks, sort of saying that some of these things had looked like they topped out. And, people would have been like, no way, Dozza, what are you talking about? Like they're going to keep pumping to the moon. And I was like, okay. And then it looks like they haven't. So maybe seeing some of this stuff like close below the 20-day MA and things like that, like, and with them crossing over and then price being below both, like it seems like
if you do a Fibonacci from the top to the bottom to get a pullback, that'd probably be in about the 0.78 zone, I'd imagine.
That seems just good. It's a little bit hard.
Do it from there. That's fine to do it like that on a normal chart. Yeah. No, it hasn't even got there. It's probably got more to go still.
Well, it's actually just sitting at 61.8. 61.8 right there. It could bounce off that. Yeah, maybe.
Right. Usually they go down to the next level.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But yeah, it's like it depends, right? You can hold the majority of your bag, but if you are trading on a small part of your bag, then it's like there are some signals that you kind of see. That to me is a bit of a bearish sign in the days when it crosses the 20 MA. So that's OMG. HOA I think still looks pretty good. The only problem was that there's this sort of level of support and it sort of was going sideways above and below it, and then it kind of just went below it. So didn't really hold, but at least it's kind of going sideways. It's probably good for LP as well. Dick with Butt, that's had a similar thing. We talked about this where we saw the MAs cross over and then the price broke down below it, and then it sort of failed to be supported by this level. And then I was like, well, and it's just going down. So, a lot of people sort of say these things just go up forever, but I think people kind of rotate into other things, and they are also getting.
Do you think PulseChain has had its own alt season?
I think sections of PulseChain have their seasons, and people rotate into like Tangang stuff, then they rotate into a Tropa or whatever. They rotate into Teddy Bear, so then they sort of take turns. That's what I've sort of noticed.
I agree with that.
But it depends on whether you're pricing this in terms of pulse. You could argue that maybe it's just pulse was going down that was driving this down, but really even against pulse, it's been going down. So this is Dick with Butt, even against pulse. So
how's that? Can you do your fib retracement
That
on
one?
that?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I just got my phone's just going mental. Just give me 2 seconds.
No worries. Yeah, it could bounce off this 50%, but you know, I can adjust that a little bit. But I think, yeah, they're not all looking great. Some of them I think are doing better than others. So let's see if I can find one. There was Cheetan, Peach. I think Cookies had actually been doing okay. Let's have a look at those three. So, so Cheetan, that had very similar chart. The MAs crossed over, price below both, broke down below support. Peach also broke down support. Cookies, that might be the wrong. This is some weird pairing of cookies and milk for some reason. Let me just get that contract address and put it in here. Maybe this one might be better. Cookies HOA. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. So, well, this is actually broke down as well. This from support. So yeah, it's
how's 9 mil going? That should be all right, hey?
9 mil. So 9 mil has just done a payout to people who staked.
Oh, you reckon it got sold off a bit, or?
Where the hell is it? Oh, here it is. I don't know, but it's just, when people get yield from staking, it's actually done pretty well. So even if I go, log doesn't really make a difference. It's just kind of going sideways. So that's a good one to do LP with if it's just going sideways. Also, we were talking before about if you're providing liquidity, let's go to PulseChain core coins. So say you're providing liquidity with, wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse. And if you price it in Pulse, so wrapped ETH has been outperforming this whole time. So you're getting like a bit of impermanent loss there, but you are earning ink, and you're also, I guess, not being exposed completely to the downside of Pulse because you're in wrapped ETH as well.
I think
what I'm saying. Like if you are 100% in Pulse, no, but I'm saying if you were 100% in Pulse, right? Yeah, and Pulse is going down versus ETH. If you went 50-50 because it's V2, then you're getting some of the price appreciation from the wrapped ETH, and you're getting a bit of impermanent loss, and then you're getting the ink. But that's still better than being 100% in Pulse at that point. But anyway, just over this time frame, almost certainly you would have thought, because it's.
But wouldn't you be getting a lot more impermanent loss though? Because you'd literally be giving up all your ETH and getting a buttload.
Compared to if you are 100% in ETH, yes. I was just saying, but even as opposed to being 100% in Pulse, at least this way, you're buying the Pulse dip as it goes down, rather than just being all in Pulse and just seeing that bag just getting, hammered. But anyway, also you probably are right in a sense as well. I'm maybe not explaining that well, but what I was saying is that if you're doing this and you're earning ink, right, then you can put the ink into, say, an ink PLS.
That's a good one, isn't it? Ink PLS, because you think they would travel pretty much in the same direction.
It does. If you price ink in terms of PLS, look at this range. It's just, it's sitting on support as well, but it's just kind of going sideways, right? So that's perfect for an LP, and you're earning more ink. So you're using your ink that you've earned from providing liquidity, and you put it with the PLS, and then you're earning more ink as you're doing it, and you're not seeing as much impermanent loss. So, and that works with PLSX as well. I think ink PLSX, if you price it in PLSX, has just been going sideways. So I just wanted to point that out.
That's a good one.
Is there any other, like maybe with the PRC20s, I noticed that USDL like rugged or something during the week.
Yeah, so someone had a vault that was, someone had put funds in a vault, and their funds were stuck because the Oracle got changed. They put the funds into the vault when it was sitting at the price of ETH. Then the Oracle got changed, and they were essentially locked out of that vault.
Yeah.
So I don't know the full story, but they've managed.
Yeah,
to,
but once you know that they were messing around with that, because we talked about that a few weeks ago, and also last week as well. But we talked about a month ago when I saw that thing. I think it was like some Pulse Chad guy, and I think he's a dev, and he was saying that he noticed that the oracles had changed the price on it, and I was like, oh,
that's a good thing. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah, I just was a bit spooked when I heard that. And then it's a good thing until it isn't, right? Like it's a good thing.
No, well, this was a hang up that needed to be cleared, and now it's cleared, and it's shit. Like the guy that done it dumped on everyone, but I think it was his funds in the first place in that vault. So take what you want.
I think if you're putting small amounts of money, like $100 or something, into this, then it's like you don't really care either way.
I reckon this one's an interesting experiment to see whether PulseChain can get an Oracle up and running from just born out of the community. I reckon this one's worth watching just to see how that plays out.
What about PDI, Atropa, those things? How have they been going? Sort of a little bit of sideways. I don't know why I've got. Oh, okay. There's some support there from before that it looks like it's just respecting. Wasn't
there a fair amount of cash bridged in the other day? Like
there was
1.3 mil or something, where they then went and brought Ink and PDI.
Yeah. There was a wallet that bridged in a whole bunch of wrapped ETH, and then I think they bought Ink, but they already had like a heap of PDI.
Oh, I misread that. Then I thought they brought a bunch of PDI as well.
I think that someone had just said that when they looked at that wallet on DBank, it actually held like 400 grand worth of PDI or something. And I was like, God damn, who is this? That's like, is this Moon King or who? Someone is, or Maria or whatever. Someone who likes PDI.
Yeah. It was
or
Richard.
They had. It's Richard.
I was gonna start the rumor.
start a rumor, definitely. Richard.
Yeah. Red Squirrel's asking about Tetra P.
Yeah, here we go. I asked everyone to put it in the chat. I never actually looked. Tetra P. Okay, I'm pretty sure we made that in there for Red Squirrel. Here we go. So from memory, this was looking okay, and it was actually kind of doing a bit of a bounce off that support there. So this was one of the better looking charts, I thought, from previous weeks. And I think this week has been making, higher lows. So it's just kind of grinding sideways and up. So it doesn't look terrible. It's not like breaking out like away from its moving averages. But I guess if I put it in terms of Pulse, it's certainly outperforming Pulse, and it's bouncing off that support there. It looks like it's doing a bit of a trend reversal into an uptrend. So
they got a bit of fundamental news going on, I think.
Hans here, what up? I wonder if that's Hans who does his streams and does charting, because.
Is that you, Hans?
Is that you, Hans? But I'm not sure. Okay, what else have we got here? Got Ash. No ticker. Oh, that was it. I thought I'd missed heaps of tickers.
No, there wasn't many tonight. What about just Ethereum?
Good.
While we're here.
Good point. Yeah, look, this is what I like about this section. Is that because I need to know as well. So I'm not doing this for myself. Because I think you were asking about CAS or in the chat last week.
Yeah.
And we were sort of saying that Casper was looking like it was going to possibly get rejected off this, that's that sort of resistance here. Oh yeah, that would have been about a week ago. And then we were saying whether or not it could consolidate this and turn it into like price discovery, and it just got rejected below it. And I think even Jexo mentioned it might even go down to this level, which it looks like it almost did. And then now it's getting rejected off this level again. So that one could go down. So anyway, that's just a bit of a quick look. So Casper still hasn't done its dash. I think Ethereum was getting rejected. Yeah. So there's this long-term resistance level here has been rejected off it twice now. This is on the weekly. So this is because people expected the ETF to come out like this week, like to begin trading, and it didn't. And then they're like,
draw a line, a bottom trend line from the green candles, the bottom of the green candles there. If you just draw a trend line from the local bottom,
like from like here.
No, go next one back.
Like here.
No, next bottom, like the next biggest bottom.
Oh, like down here.
Next one down.
In the middle of the screen there, yeah.
There, yep. Go from there up to recent, and if just watch where it draw that up to the top, extend it out. Yep. I reckon if you see if it comes back down and touches that, then I think it'll be game on.
Yeah, I think Steph's doing some calls lately, trying to get some. He's had some pretty accurate calls, but I think he
claims.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry to interrupt, man, but he does claim that he's super accurate and that he doesn't miss. But if you follow those calls, sometimes they're not right, and he adjusts. They're not quite. Like he changes. It's like it's definitely going down. Everything's going down, and then he's like, "Pack your bags. It's going to the moon." And then he just literally cherry picks it and goes, "See, I told you it was going up."
Yeah. That's the old RH thing, isn't it? You send out two.
Yeah,
and then you can rely on them.
I saw him do it. I saw him say it was going down. He said that ETH was going down. He said BTC was going down to like 50K or something. Like I could probably find the tweet. And I was like, oh, you reckon? And then it was like, pack your bags. And then see, it's going up. And I was like, and he's like, we've got the Oracle thing and I don't miss. And I'm like, okay.
He's been following the school of trying to rally the troops for another coin. So
that's it. He's another one that's going to do his green candle tech or whatever it is that he's doing. So I actually like Steph, but I think you've got to take what some people say with a grain of salt a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bitcoin is sort of doing that rejection off the highs, and people say that it broke all-time high, and it clearly has, but I'm still waiting to see it like really bust out from these sort of 70K levels. I think it could still keep going sideways, as I've sort of said in the past, for a while, because historically it's like 3 years until it busts out from the previous all-time high, and that would put it in sort of November of this year. Which means it could go down, it could go up, but it could go sideways. But then at some point, like the real takeoff could be sort of later this year. But that's just, speculation. In terms of the charts, it looks like it's getting rejected. And I think ETH is also following that sort of rejection down. I was looking at like Sol versus ETH and stuff like that. Sol really has been outperforming ETH, but it does look like it's kind of rounding out a little bit here. But there was a couple of other ones I was looking at, like TonChain. This chart was pretty impressive.
Goodness.
You never heard of Ton?
No.
It's the Telegram
Yep.
coin. So check this out. It's making higher highs, breaking like long-term resistance.
What is it actually used for?
I've never used it, man. I've never used TonChain, but I think it's meant to be like the base layer on Telegram. Like they can send crypto from Telegram user to Telegram user. So anyway, I don't. What's the word? I'm sort of in this segment. I'm fairly chain agnostic, so I'm happy to look at other stuff. You know, if the price is good, the price is good.
The way the
Near,
the way the whole space is heading, every company is going to have their own chain.
yeah, I think so, bro. The way that this whole crypto is heading, every person could have their own chain. That's how crazy it is. Like you can literally just be
everyone can definitely have their own coin, and it'll probably get to that.
I think everyone will get their own coin, 100%. That won't even. That'll just be in like 10 years' time. Everyone, but yeah. Anyway, doesn't mean it's going to be good, right? Like just because you can do something,
it is like I think it is actually good from a point of view as it'll free up the flow of funds between individuals. Like we don't.
Could be.
We've had a few issues where you couldn't, like, trying to buy something with a particular token was a hindrance because other people might not accept it or whatever. But if it gets to the point where you don't even care what token you're trading in, it's just a value transfer.
That's interesting. I guess it's still better that it's permissionless. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was looking at like Link and stuff. The charts don't really excite me too much. You know, it looks like this 10 MA's gone below the 20. Things like that. So there's a lot of coins that people sort of say, you know, oh, you read the headlines, oh, GameFi is going to be the next new thing. And it's like, okay, well, Gala is like one of the biggest GameFi things. The chart looks a bit like, you know, crossing over, price below, doesn't look that great. You know, Optimism, it couldn't hold this support. Crossed over MA's, price below. Same as Arbitrum, was even worse. I remember watching it up here thinking whether it was going to hold, and it just died. So there's a lot of coins out there that have been doing terribly.
Go back to the Arbitrum. That's terrible. That's as bad as the bloody Pulse one.
PulseChain. That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
How far did that drop?
Yeah. How far did it drop? I mean, from the absolute peak, I mean, this is on the weekly, to the current price, it's only 60%. But that's not even that long. Like if I go from here, this is only in the last 13 weeks. It's pretty much the same. It just shows that it's kind of maybe dependent on what Ethereum is doing. Same as like what PulseChain is. Yeah, there's a bit of an insight there because it's a layer 2, so it's dependent on what ETH is doing and waiting for the ETF, you know, pump. Same as us, but in the meantime, what about some charts that are actually doing well? Has anyone got any that they can mention?
There's a heap of them, is there?
Base would have to be doing well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What's that stuff on base? Did you say?
Or actual? They've got a base token, haven't they?
No, it's just ETH, isn't it?
Oh, I thought they had an actual coin as well.
I thought because it was a layer 2, they just use ETH.
Yeah, but that's the same with Arbitrum.
Oh, you're saying like a DAO token like Arbitrum or Optimism. I can certainly search for it, but I don't know if it's just like a scam like base coin. But 230 grand with a liquidity, maybe.
You think that would be the first thing you'd create on your own chain, so no one else would you? I don't know. Not sure.
So concentrated liquidity, perpetual single staking, daily lotteries. I don't think this is it, bro.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, maybe they don't.
It's just too low. I know with Base they have a few meme coins, like there's Brett or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there was Toshi, and there was some rooster one.
Have you got
Brett?
Have you got Floki and Bonk on there?
Yep, I think I can look those up. So Brett actually looks good. It has been looking good for a while. Toshi is just going sideways, doesn't look great at all. So let's have a look at So
Hey,
Solana.
while you degens are going hard on this, I'm going to have to bail. I've got a
Yeah, I've got
bit of
That's
a
cool. You got stuff to do.
screaming little one near me. So
No dramas, bro.
sorry to bail on you, but it's
That's
been
all
good.
right.
No, I'm going to wrap it
Guys,
up as well. I thought we'd just do a quick round and have a look at it, but I'm also going to
that's cool.
disappear.
Yeah.
But good to see you, True Blue. Have a
Yeah,
good
you
weekend,
too.
mate.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone in the chat. And yeah, I didn't leave on you straight away this time, Jaxa. So yeah, sorry. Last week I was tuning in still though, but yeah, same situation this week. So I'll speak to you soon though.
Cool, guys.
Awesome, man. Have a good one.
See you later. Bye.
Take it easy,
See you,
mate.
True Blue. Cool. Yeah, look, I was getting a little bit degen there, just looking at a few random ones. But look, I thought we should just quickly go through some of them. Like Teddy Bear chart was, that one was getting rejected off a lot of support. I noticed a lot of sort of resistance. Sorry. So this, and then now
If
it's
you put that,
broken down.
put that into Pulse though, that one.
Yeah, I think if you go in Pulse, it's been doing better. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a long time frame, it's been making higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, that's an interesting one. You were saying there was like Floki, I think.
Yeah, so I was having a chat with someone the other day, and what I noticed is on a lot of the just normie apps where where they're like the Revolut app, for instance, which is they provide credit cards and things, and they've got a thing where you can buy like a section in their app where you can buy equities and crypto. When you have a look at the meme portfolios that they put together, there's a common flavor I see, which is Floki and
Interesting.
Bonk. So if people are going to just come in and ape into the crypto markets, there's a fair chance they're going to go into those ones.
Okay. So Floki is on Ethereum, and there's a bit of resistance here. I noticed it couldn't maintain that level, if you know what I mean. Like it couldn't use it as support. It couldn't retest it. So Floki, I think, was doing really well, but now not so much. But yeah, not quite sure. What was the other one? It was Bonk. I think that might be. I don't know if I've got that in the Solana stuff, but I can just type it in. Has that only got 3.3 million of liquidity? I would have thought it had more than that. Maybe on exchanges it's got more, but it doesn't look terrible. It's kind of looks like it's had a couple of massive run-ups. But it's making over like a long time frame. It's making higher lows, and it's on a fairly big retracement at the moment. Could be a little consolidation period. Depends on whether we think that Solana has just completely topped out, but I'm thinking not. Like even if you just look at the Sol chart, like it doesn't look that bad. Certainly.
Somi put out something interesting this morning. There was I'll just dig it up. There was an app where you can look at all the token unlocks. I think it might be called token unlock.
Oh, interesting. But like, so I know there's a couple of there's a couple of things. If you look on DeFi Llama, it shows the there is a thing in here where you can look up the lockups. But yeah, I might not be able to find it. Oh, here we go. Unlocks. This is on DeFi Llama. So I think if you look at, like, say, Arbitrum, for example, it looks like they have, it's 48% unlocked. There's 10 billion ARB. And the daily unlocks are 8.26 million ARB gets unlocked per day.
Daily unlocks. They're saying 8 million a day.
Dollars. Yeah. So holy crap. That's probably why Arbitrum chart is so wrecked. So that's one good thing we don't have in our system. I think Optimism is the same. $1.2 million worth of Optimism unlocked per day. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if we can just put it in terms of unlocks.
Solana.
Oh.
10, there you go. Solana, 10 million.
10 million per day for Solana. But it looks like it's 94% of it has already been unlocked. So, yeah, that's interesting. Look, I think Solana is sort of a bit touch and go as to whether it, at the moment, its price is sort of...
The chart looks all right, doesn't it?
It looks okay, but the 10 MA and 20 are starting to converge here. And there is this line of support here. So if it breaks down, that's when I would sort of say it could be time to go from Sol into ETH or something like that. Yeah, so Floki, there's a bunch of these. There's like Somi likes this Land Wolf. There's not a lot to like about that chart though. Just getting wrecked for quite a few days. Price under both 10 and 20. Downtrend for, I mean, that's been in a downtrend since it broke this 20 MA here for like 17 days. But yeah, I think there was some Jeeps or something. There's a bunch of weird ones, like, you know how with Pepe. So Pepe looks okay, but similar deal, broke the 20 MA, broke down from support. Really needs to recover that to start its next move up.
Just out of interest, what sort of percent move down is that one?
Percent move down from wick to current price.
No, it's not
30%. 30%. Yeah, 30%. That's like a healthy, retracement. It's almost like it actually dropped 30%, and then now really it's just going sideways. So that's kind of like a consolidation, and then hopefully it can start the ascent. There's not a lot of good news really going on. So
but I think that's and you can call it cope or whatever you like, but everyone shits on PulseChain. But I think you got to recognize that everyone's going through the same machinations. There's other things that, like, what you hear about is all the shit that's going mad mental with meme coins, and the chances of you being on those particular ones pretty slim.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, I was just looking at this random one, this spike or whatever, and it's like, it was just because there was this artist that did a whole bunch of things, like with Pepe and then Land Wolf and then spike, but you don't know if it's a rug. I mean, the only way you can check really is with this locked liquidity. It says that it's got 100% locked, 100% burnt.
Yeah.
So that's like gives you some confidence, but then you still see these massive wicks. So someone's dumping.
Oh yeah.
So
everything that's getting into now is off the back of people that have audiences. So if you're an influencer of some kind, or I even hate that term because I don't know who would be getting
celebrity, but yeah.
But if you've got a high follow account, they seem to be the guys that are. They're doing that play early. Like last time, that was the top of the market. Now that play's getting done a lot earlier.
Yeah, I hope this isn't the top. That's for damn sure. Look, I think you might just see a lot more sideways action for a while before we start to see it.
What I think it is just people. Last cycle, it took the whole of the crypto market before that actually happened, and everyone started jumping in on it, and then it was the new thing to do. But the whole market shit itself, so no one could no longer do it. Now they've just realised, okay, well, that was how everyone was killing the pig last time. Now we know the playbook. We can do that.
Yeah, I think people do learn. I think. Yeah, there's definitely, and with this sort of spate of new meme coins, I think it is because people realize that there is a whole bunch of people that were holding Dogecoin and SHIB and this and that they sort of round tripped their bags, and that now in this cycle, they don't want to be exit liquidity for those guys. So it's like, well, why don't we just create our own meme coin, like, whatever. But then you need to have a community. You can't just create some shit coin that's not going to last.
That's all. That's all that happens is they just keep recycling the meme coins, and there's a small group of people that are probably doing really well out of that. If for someone to do well out of it, 100 people more need to be losing their pants.
Yeah, well, that's the game, though. I mean, at some point, I mean, that's
But how sustainable is that, though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a question for another day, maybe, because that
No, I'm not going to start crying on the stream.
I do wrestle with that idea. No. I just mean, like, I do wrestle with that ethically. That whole thing of like, no. I still don't think we're anywhere close. We're still got a long way to go. But I do wrestle with that ethically, like the idea of that, you know, if you're making serious dollars, then you're effectively dumping on, you know, normies coming in or whatever, and then using them as exit liquidity. But you know, that's the game. Like that's what it is. Like, so if you don't like it, then maybe crypto's not for you. Like,
that's right. Well,
and they're trying to dump on your head. Like,
you can find a part of crypto that doesn't have that. Now, it's not going to have the stupid ups as well, but there is other more sustainable things that you can play in
that don't have that. Sure, but I guess I have this with martial arts, right? When we're doing, you know, we're rolling around BJJ or whatever, or sparring. It's like, you know, you feel bad when you punch someone in the head, or you feel bad if you're sort of choking them out. But they are literally trying to punch you in the head as well, and they are literally trying to choke you out at the same time. Like, it's not like if you let them, they'll, you know, choke you out. Like, so it's like you can feel bad a little bit, but it's like that's the game, and then everyone, you know, plays the game. So you know, I'm not going to try and, you know, justify it, but I think it is a bit of player versus player mindset. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if it wasn't, but I think that's just the reality.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that cheery note,
I'll wrap it up with a cheery point. There's a lot of good things going out there where they do actually generate income, and that's so whether it's bridges or whether it's something like ThorChain, where they actually providing a service, and you can participate in those networks, and they're probably more sustainable. They don't have the rugs. They don't go off like a meme coin. So there's plenty of cool things you can be doing on the infrastructure side as well. And that's the positive thing I see.
That's it. And you can just you can choose to opt out as well. You don't have to follow these charts and trades. You can just stake and come back in a year's time as well, or whatever. There are other ways to kind of go into protocols that earn fees and things like that. So then it's like a genuine utility. But look, whatever works, I guess. Hope you have a good weekend, man. Hope you have some fun with the family. And thanks very much to the chat. I think Base Radiant was just saying, when Tetra automation. I'm also interested in that stuff as well. So hopefully that'll come up maybe soon. So 2 more weeks maybe.
Yeah, so maybe they need their Oracle running before they can do the automation.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I've heard that before. All good, guys. Good to see everyone in the chat. Thanks very much for coming. Thanks, Replay Gang, and thank you, Jexa. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for having us on again. See you guys.
See you guys.